So after just destroying the horrendous state of DC Comics, it made me get to thinking about James Gunn. And that's why I decided to make just this short video to talk about something that I thought everybody already knew. The plain and simple fact that James Gunn makes the same woke, insufferable movie over and over again. So here's the story that has some people talking and arguing. The retarded freak who likes kids, James Gunn, says Supergirl is a space adventure. That doesn't sound too bad. James Gunn has done space adventures before, but surely this one's going to be original, and oh wait, it's like Guardians. Is this a joke? This guy can't make any other movie that isn't just another variation of Guardians of the Galaxy, which we'll get onto in a second about how this guy's entire career is one big ripoff. So I don't have the tweets on hand right now, but I'm pretty sure James Gunn is the same guy that a few years ago was saying that he could never make a Batman or Superman movie. How he had no interest in those kind of superheroes. And randomly now when it suits him, he's the biggest fan of all of these characters and the DC universe. From the start of this guy's career, he's just been making the same movie over and over. And newsflash, that movie was never a good one. You may be into James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy if you are not aware of the superior stuff that came before it, or if you're into handicapped Marvel humor slop.
Star-Lord.
Who?
Well, Star-Lord, man.
Where every single man in the movie gets kicked in the balls.
Touch. Yo, she-bitch. Let's go.
And I'll get onto it in a second about how the comics and older sci-fi could create awesome female heroes without them being an insufferable vehicle for the writer's political ideology. I'll just say it right now that James Gunn has never made a good movie. The guy's a freak who actually openly engages with people online, arguing with random Twitter accounts over stupid crap. And before I continue, let me just make it very clear that I also think Zack Snyder is a complete retard. That dude also knows nothing about the characters or the comics, is interested in being retarded and gay, and has never made a good movie. So Henry Cavill is not my Superman. I don't like Man of Steel, and I don't like Zack Snyder. I don't like anything about Superman, and I never will. But if you're a fan of the classic Superman character and comics, I don't have a problem with you. So just because James Gunn is an absolute freak doesn't make Zack Snyder God. Most comic book movies are spasticated, and Supergirl is just going to be another case of that. And just look at this tweet from this absolute moron. You can tell who's actually read Woman of Tomorrow by their response to this. I don't give a shit about Supergirl or Woman of Tomorrow. And the fans of DC and the comics can turn around. They don't have to have read any new crappy comic and say that, yeah, this movie sounds crappy, James Gunn, and it also sounds like every other movie you've ever made. And the same goes for Superman. People say you have to read All-Star Superman to understand the character. People like James Gunn just come in and take some new comic written by some woke writer and copy it exactly, thinking that that is the character. Like Superman, as I said a few seconds ago, I don't like the character, but I know that he isn't some gay dude walking around screaming and crying. And I know that Supergirl isn't some drunk bitch. Straight away, without even having read Woman of Tomorrow, I can tell that all of that is a retcon created by some new writer. Because would a good writer in the 80s or 70s or 60s make a heroic character some insufferable feminist drunk? And I don't even know what James Gunn's twisted idea of Batman will look like, especially when the supposed fans who are actually fake tourists are going around saying stuff like this. A Batman who smiles and lets his guard down to those who are closest to him is a Batman I'd like to see more. I don't really know what to say to that. It's one of the most handicapped, slow things I've ever heard. To say something like this, you must be dense. That's like saying, I'd love to see a Conan the Barbarian story where he's not going around saving damsels in distress or lopping the heads off of evil men. Or how about Spider-Man? I'd love to see a Spider-Man story where Spider-Man doesn't fight any supervillains or shoot any webs. And when this is the type of shit that your fan base is going around saying, then I don't even want to imagine what the up-and-coming movies are going to be like. Batman is just going to be smiling and crying like some weak soy bitch who is not the character of Batman. And to end off this video, I just want to say that all of that stuff doesn't matter. Even though the politics are retarded, like with Peacemaker and all this stupid allegory, none of it really matters because it all comes back to the simple fact that James Gunn doesn't know how to make an original movie. So an argument people have all the time is about inspiration versus plagiarism. And James Gunn's entire career is one big example of plagiarism. So who's somebody who has been in almost every single James Gunn movie like Slither, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 3. He even played Guy Gardner in one of the worst movies ever made, Superman. The actor Nathan Fillion is in almost every single James Gunn movie. You'd think that, oh yeah, it's just because he's best friends with James Gunn, right? Well, actually, this is where the plagiarism comes in. So what's Guardians of the Galaxy about? A sci-fi space opera adventure about a guy from Earth who has to make his way throughout the galaxy. Kind of like a fish out of water story where the guy references stuff from Earth and the aliens around him don't get it. But eventually he has to become the leader of this ragtag group of mercenary outlaws. Super original and amazing, right? James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, it was all done before, and it all comes from two major things. First of all, the 10 out of 10 cult classic Australian sci-fi show Farscape, where the main character, John Crichton, is an astronaut from Earth, gets brought through a wormhole and into the middle of an intergalactic war. And without spoiling anything, because you really should watch this show if you haven't, he goes from a bumbling idiot into the badass trenchcoat wearing dual wielding leader of this ship of kick-ass outlaws. And Farscape came years before Guardians of the Galaxy, and it also helped inspire the amazing Guardians of the Galaxy comics, but those comics didn't rip everything word for word, where James Gunn on the other hand copied every single character. So Chris Pratt's retarded Peter Quill is taken straight from John Crichton from Farscape. Gamora, the badass warrior woman love interest, is also Aaron's son from Farscape, except Gamora goes around kicking people in the balls and being annoying. Drax, this badass who lost his wife and kid and is the strong silent type, is taken directly from Dargo from Farscape, a character that is 10 times better. A tiny snarky animal who has a problem with every single person on the ship is also from Farscape. And you could pass it off and cope and say, well, it's just inspiration, but this isn't that at all. The entire movies are just a terrible copy of it. And I'll stick by that till the day I die, that every single Guardians movie is a downgrade from what we got in Farscape. And that brings me on to the second case of plagiarism. Firefly is about a ship of space western outlaw bounty hunters. It's another pretty kick-ass show that I do admit takes some stuff from Farscape and Cowboy Bebop. But overall, it creates its own original thing and the show is really good. Oh yeah, and then I mentioned that the main comedic yet serious war veteran badass, Captain Malcolm Reynolds, is played by Nathan Fillion. I rest my case. I could make a full video essay talking about the comparisons between all of them and how much I love shows like Farscape and Firefly and how not many people really know about them. But I don't really know if you'd like to see that, so if you would, let me know. But the point of the entire video is that every single bullshit James Gunn movie is either a rip-off or just the same thing being recycled. And all of it is woke garbage, plain and simple. So fuck freaky James Gunn, Supergirl, and every single retarded thing he's ever made. If you agreed with anything I said or if you like these type of videos, do let me know. Maybe consider subscribing or becoming a patron. And if you got a problem with anything I said, go complain to your boyfriend.